Hey guys, today we're going to talk about vulnerability um, and how it's everything, right? When you're having a relationship with someone, you should be vulnerable with them. Every single conversation you have with them is an opportunity to be vulnerable, an opportunity to open up a place and space for you guys to be closer. You ever meet someone new and you're having that conversation with them and the conversation surface, obviously, and they say something that kind of pierces the veil just a little bit. It pierces the surface just a little bit. It goes a little bit past the weather conversation, goes a little bit past the day to day, like talking about the state of the world. It goes a little bit deeper. So you kind of give them a little bit something back, right? You could see that they added a little extra vulnerability by giving that piece of information. But it was deep, but it wasn't like super deep. So you respond in kind, right? You give them something a little bit more than you would give to a new stranger that you're meeting for the first time because you saw that they kind of pierced the veil and you already liked them a little bit. The interesting thing about that is you kind of have to like the person a little bit for that to actually hit hard, right? You have to kind of want to invest in that conversation, in that like minute relationship in order for that vulnerability to hit hard. Some people, they get in conversations with people and they'll give that extra information. They'll give that little piece of vulnerability, and you'll find that they'll often feel like they did that for no reason. It was a move that had no actual impact on anything. And that's a hurtful thing, right? You know, you're trying to build something with someone and you find out in that specific moment, hey, this person doesn't really vibe with me, doesn't really like me. They may not just even like me. They may not appreciate the information that I gave them, and they may not be able to receive it or do anything with it. See what I'm saying? So sometimes it's how you interact with the person, and how your vibe is, how the chemistry is between you guys. Maybe you shouldn't like start off there. Maybe you should start off being able to crack a joke with this person, being able to laugh and have some fun rather than going deep immediately to build that relationship. Sometimes you do have to start off and be able to have a good surface conversation with that person before going deep. I've talked about it in a recent video, but I'll say it here how I grew up kind of wanting to be that deep person and talk about deep things like all the time. That was like my thing. I enjoyed talking about deep stuff. Like that was something that I just liked doing, right? So I found myself in situations where I'm like, I don't really want to talk about the surface things. I don't want to talk about the weather. Don't want to talk about our current president. I don't want to talk about who's the principal now. I don't want to talk about who's fighting at school and the girl that just got exposed. I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about deep stuff. I want to talk about relationships. I want to talk about God. So I found myself in situations like that where I legit didn't want to have these like little surface conversations. I wanted to go deep. And it wasn't like, oh, I want to go deep with you. It's just like I just enjoy talking about deep stuff over the like day to day surfacey stuff. Like to me, like drama is a waste of my time. Like complaining is a waste of my time. Like you can acknowledge, like, yeah, this is a messed up situation. I've got traffic right here. You guys may even see all this, but there's a lot of traffic. You could sit and complain about it, but like the real thing is we could really go into depth in the fact that we all are one with this. We are made one because of this highway. We all need to get somewhere. And you see how like there are people that are driving slow, being considerate of others. I'm in the merging lane, so people are slowly letting us in. The people in the merging lane are slowly getting in because the people to the left are allowing them to get in. You see that how that reveals something about humanity. You see how I turn that into something deep just like that? That's because that's something that is like core to me. That's my vulnerability. I prefer to go deep rather to talk about a million different topics. That's a idea that I'm hitting on. So the idea of the cross, you could say, is that there's width. There's a width to the cross. There's when you go across, there's a width, right? You could say in a conversation you have width by talking about a million different topics. They could be surface, right? You could talk about the weather. You could talk about their favorite color. To me, it's a surface thing. You could talk about unless it's like something deep that's tied to it. We can always find something deep about that. Or you can talk about how they're Sagittarius and you're an Aquarius and how you've dated like certain zodiacs in the past and that has affected this or affected that, right? Surface stuff, right? So that to me is like the width. And width means like if you go and talk to someone based on width, then you're talking about a million different things, a lot of different conversations, but you're not going super super deep. You're just keeping it fun and light, which is cool. That's cool to do with someone you're just meeting. But then there's a depth that and this is a multi entendre meaning when it comes to the cross, obviously. But as far as conversations, you can take one of those little conversations, those little surface ones, and go deep, and that's essentially what starts begins to build the roots in your relationship. You could say, and I think about the cross, obviously the other side of it, which isn't tied to anything that we're talking about now, but the depth is the relationship you have with God. You see what I'm saying? So the width is we're the body of Christ. That's how I view it. The width, the point of the cross is like the width, the wide part from side to side is okay. We recognize that we are all one in God. We are all part of the vine. We all remain in Christ. See what I'm saying? We're all one. And then but we don't fully rely on others to have our own depth, our own vertical relationship. The vertical to me is a relationship between you and the Father that's direct. See what I'm saying? So you recognize that I have relationships with others who have a vertical relationship, but I also have my own. See what I'm saying? So I think about it like that. So when you're talking with somebody, I often found myself as a kid wanting to have the depth of conversation well before the surface conversation. You see what I'm saying? Like I didn't want to just talk about how your day was. I wanted to talk about how that's affected you and how it feels like you're in a cycle or how you feel really blessed because you never thought that you would be in the situation before. That's a sentiment that I find myself talking about a lot. Um, where I like just be in a beautiful place. And I find myself saying, wow, I never thought I would ever be at this place with these people at this time. Isn't that just an amazing thing? You never thought, and this is actually very deep. And we were talking about vulnerability, but now we're just talking about deepness. But the fact that you couldn't even have thought on your own before coming to earth, before being born, you couldn't have even thought, hey, maybe I'll be born someday. Or you couldn't have even known that you've thought that. Maybe I'll be born someday. You see what I'm saying? So in reality, we all never thought we would be here at this time, in this place, with the people. See what I'm saying? Like often I think about like, okay, God chose my wife. God chose my sister to be my sister. God chose my mom, my dad to be my dad, my father-in-law to be my father-in-law. You see what I'm saying? Like that's so interesting to me. Like the intentionality is crazy, but also he's intentional with them too. He didn't just choose them to be my father for specifically me. He just he somehow chose them to be my father and chose me to be their son. See what I'm saying? On top of that, that is just crazy. But see how like for me that's a vulnerability to go into that depth of life. But oftentimes when you're initially going into that conversation with a person, you don't want to be too vulnerable, because then you set yourself up to possibly being hurt, right? But that's the thing. I feel like as Christians, it's our job to be okay with being vulnerable so that we can begin to open up things with people who are non-believers, but as well as believers too. So what I mean by open things up is having conversations where you talk about vulnerabilities, things that you struggle with. So that means like you're in a conversation, maybe with someone who's on the fence, and and I'm gonna be honest, I think everyone should pick a side, but we should be able to meet people as Christians. We should be able to meet people wherever they are. See what I'm saying? Wherever they find themselves, we should be able to meet them. So if they find themselves on the fence, we should be able to meet them there and say, "Hey, I see where you are. What is there anything that you want prayer for? Um, do you want to just hang out?" Being friends with them, even though they're fence sitters, that's fine. Like we forget that, like Jesus hung out with the persecuted, with Jesus hung out with criminals and prostitutes in a sense. So like when you think about it, we have to be able to love them just the same. Like you shouldn't be able to like not have a conversation with the homeless person because they're homeless. That shouldn't be the reason why. There should be something else that gives you a reason why. Just like I shouldn't not I shouldn't be able to say, oh yeah, I can't have this conversation with this person because they're white. How are you loving? See what I'm saying? And that's completely against what Jesus was fighting for. We forget that Jesus was fighting for something when he spoke. And he knew that there would be repercussions for what he was saying. He already knew. He already knew the price of truth. He was truth standing in the face of people, and people did not recognize truth. Right? So he already knew the price. So you have to pay a small price of being vulnerable when you're with that person by offering them your experience, by telling them, "Hey, I'm struggling with this as well. I have questions too, but I believe." That opens up a whole different world for these people to see, wait a minute, this person is multifaceted and they're not perfect. And they don't expect me to be perfect in order to be Christian. Because a lot of times, what do people say? I'm going to get my life together first and then come to Christ. I'm going to clean myself up. I'm going to stop doing this, stop doing that before coming to Christ. I'd say no. Wait, you're getting it all wrong. Just come. And don't worry about that stuff. Don't worry about that stuff. I'm not saying go and do it just outright, but just focus on your relationship with God. Focus on Him. Put your eyes on Him. And that's what I have to do. And telling them, hey, it's okay. Like, I fall daily. I fall daily. I'm not perfect. I'm I'm not perfect at all. But Christ in me is. And if I have faith in Him and I focus on Him, focus on the perfection in Him, then sanctification will meet me where I'm at and change who I am from the inside out. Cause me to walk in the Spirit, to talk with the conduct that Christ carried Himself with, of love, the conduct of love. Can you have a conduct of love? That's what it's about. And that means sacrificing what you believe about yourself, how good you think yourself are, and saying, hey, I struggle in this area. Maybe you don't have any physical struggles, but you have emotional struggles. You have so much pride. You have trouble letting the people around you help you. That's something I struggle with. I have pride, not with God, but I have pride with the ones God has put in my life. Sometimes I won't let them help me, but I won't say to you, hey, get your pride together and then come to God. I'm going to say, come right now, because I'm before His feet too. We can come before His feet and let Him strip away this pride from both of us. so that we both don't fall. And if we fall, let it be before his feet. God bless you guys. I'm going to try to drive safely. I was going 85 and I realized I was going 85 because I felt this so deeply. This is less about vulnerability and more about loving others and putting yourself aside for the love of others. But first loving God and allowing that to flow through you with that vertical relationship flowing through you in the width. God bless you guys. Have a great day.